All right, shenanigans, y'all. We all know what happened the end of last week. The headline from The Atlantic, Trump's college sports roundtable, 2 hours of talk with few solutions. All right, so they were only supposed to spend 1 hour. I have no idea what they thought they were going to achieve to fix the problems of college football in 1 hour. It went 2 hours. Let's start by discussing who was in the room and who was not in the room. Okay, so we had 6 cabinet members, secretaries of various agencies in the federal government, 9 elected officials from Congress, 7 current or past university presidents, 1 former cabinet member, Condoleezza Rice, who is arguably the smartest person in that room. That sister is super smart. 6 conference commissioners, 6 athletic directors, 9 individuals connected to pro sports, 3 coaches, 2 guys in private equity, and 4 other people. So it was roughly 54 or so people in the room. Notably, who did I not say was in the room? There was not a single college athlete in the room. None. So we're going to have a conversation. They had a conversation about college athletics without bothering to include college athletes. Shenanigans, y'all. Okay. So as you see from all those different kinds of people, there were too many disparate voices in the room to make any headway. Okay. But coming out of this, the president indicated that he was going to issue an executive order, a comprehensive, I believe, was his word, or more comprehensive executive order within a week. So that would be this Friday, I believe. Okay. Now, if you recall, the president already signed an executive order back in the summer of 2025 that was supposed to deal with college sports. And it had no material success, no real impact at all. This one also likely will not work. First, let's briefly talk about what an executive order is and what it is not. I didn't put on my lawyer hat today because this is probably only the legal part we're going to talk about. So just roll with me. So an executive order is a written directive delivered by the president that orders the government to take specific actions to ensure the laws be faithfully executed. Okay? An executive order cannot override federal law. It cannot grant antitrust exemptions. It cannot override state law. And of course, we know that executive orders can be challenged in court. Now, though this president really loves executive orders and uses them liberally, an executive order can't change or make new law, but it can reinterpret existing law. And that's probably what you're feeling with all the executive orders that have been introduced since this president has been in office, with some reinterpretations of existing law as we understood it. But they are not making new law. Congress can only make new law. Okay, so the president knows this. And so he knows his options to fix the problem are limited. And if he attempts to overreach, he is going to get challenged. That executive order is going to get challenged. Okay. So we just know that off the rip. Okay. But what are some of the things that they discussed? Well, they discussed that the current system is not sustainable. Couple bullets around that. Adding $20 million, that's the rev share, to an annual budget for rev share payments has caused some athletic departments to go into crisis. Now, I know a lot of y'all think that there's just an unlimited pot of money to spend on this rev share or NIL above the rev share cap. Okay, but it's a budget line item that has to be funded. If you recall, Indiana reduced headcount, laid off people to make room in the budget for some portion of the rev share. Okay? All right. So it's not sustainable. That 20 million is creating some headaches for a lot of folks. A lot of folks just not even trying, though some are trying over hard and creating a lot of debt, and that is also unsustainable. We also understand that this is threatening funding for Olympic and non-revenue generating sports, because now you have a brand new $20 million line item that is sitting in the budget that did not exist before this year and was unfunded until this year. And so you got to figure out a way to fund it. And so, of course, that puts other sports at risk. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the SCORE Act. And unfortunately, I did not write down what the acronym for SCORE meant. Okay. And so that's some legislation that has been introduced in a bipartisan fashion that is right now stuck in committee in the House of Representatives. And it is to provide a limited antitrust exemption, preemption of state laws, particularly with respect to compensation issues. It will guarantee that there is no employee status for athletes, among other things. Now, it has gotten some traction in the House. It is probably dead on arrival at the Senate, and is unlikely to pass. Okay? All right. Now, the president suggested multiple times in his comments that college sports should go back to what it was before, with just scholarships. That has zero chance of success. You cannot tell somebody who was making 7 figures they're going back to be a scholarship athlete only. That is simply not going to happen. All right, I'm glad you got a chance to say that out loud, Mr. President, so you can get that off your chest. Not happening. Okay. Also, interestingly, Coach Saban, who really, as far as I can tell, was the first person to whisper in the president's ear last time when he did this executive order thing and he threatened to set up a commission that he wanted Nick Saban and Cody Campbell to run. And Nick is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I just like to throw problems. I don't like to fix them. So here Nick Saban is again, saying that we need a system that provides athletes with the opportunity to advance themselves beyond their athletic career and to get a college education. So Nick is waxing reflective in his old age, post-retirement, about all the college degrees he wants these athletes to get. Okay. Now, Sarah Hirshland, who's the CEO of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, commented at the Paris Games that U.S. athletes represented 231 colleges and 71 conferences, and that 90 schools had medalists. And all of that was at risk. Because around the world, nations are aggressively investing in sports, while in the U.S., the investments are going to primarily football to stay competitive in the football landscape. And the economic pressures are not sustainable. Okay? Now, the president indicated that the amounts of dollars spent and being lost by otherwise very successful schools is astounding in just a short period of time. I think he's right about that. Okay. Now, Ohio State's former president, Ted Carter, who was not at the meeting, had these comments. Now, Ohio State has been very successful the last few years since Mr. Carter has been the president. He recently stepped down. He said, and I'm quoting, "I am worried. I'll just say right up front, I'm not trying to make a headline. It's just not sustainable. If you look at this is still him talking, if you look at the trajectory from where we started with House versus NCAA and where it's gone in the last couple of years, it's not sustainable over the next 3 years unless something changes." Okay? Now, you have Texas Tech billionaire and patron Cody Campbell, who I believe is the chair of the University of Texas System Board of Trustees. I think I have that right. The System of Regents, something like that. Okay. Now, understand that Cody Campbell is also one of 4 families that is essentially bankrolling all of Texas Tech's athletics escapades in the last few years. Now, he gave a very insightful point as part of his assessment. And you can tell he's negotiated deals, because I tell my clients this very thing all the time. Many of the agendas in this room, and this is me quoting him, and outside this room are going to become impossible. The reality is nobody is going to get everything. If we are going to come to a solution on this, we have to find a place, and here's where it's important, where we're all equally unhappy, just like in business deals. Everybody cannot win, y'all. It actually is, in this case, pie. Some people win and some people lose on some of these issues. Not everyone will get everything they want. All right, so what are my thoughts on this? Well, any discussion about college athletics that excludes college athletes, dead on arrival. Horrible optics, arrogance. How y'all gonna solve a problem for people and don't even ask them what their perspective is? And I am unpersuaded by the people in the room that says, oh, we're gonna get college athletes feedback. They should have been in the room. Dead on arrival. Arrogance, horrible optics. It should not have ever been that way. He can find one college athlete to pull into that room, not a single one. Miss me with that foolishness. Okay, now, the burn rate for all of this activity, the lack of coaching loyalty, the lack of player loyalty, those 3 things together, the burn rate, which is the expense, how much money is being spent, coaches who also burn up a lot of cash, especially with these buyouts, okay, athletes, okay, nobody's got loyalty. Those things together make the current system unsustainable in the long run. You can't keep throwing money at people who walk away after a year or who are poached away after a year. So everybody is everybody's enemy in this game. We aren't just competitors, we're enemies. And so that is not sustainable. Now, there is no going back to scholarship only days. We might as well stop talking about that. There will always be a bundle of players as a part of roster construction that are scholarship only athletes, but the entire roster will never be scholarship only again. Okay. Now, private equity, there were some private equity guys in this room, is not the answer in the long run. No, that's a payday loan, that's pawn shop, right? Private equity, drive up revenue, drive down expense. It's not the right model for college athletics, not the answer in the short term. Or the long, might be the answer in the short term, it's not the answer in the long term. Interestingly and importantly, from my perspective, there is no presidential fix. So I appreciate the fact that he put 50 some odd people in the room to talk a couple of hours about all the things going on in college sports. There is nothing that he is going to do from a material fashion, okay, without getting Congress to enact some laws that is going to fix this problem. Now, I think that Cody Campbell ultimately is right. Okay. The solution is one that everybody hates, but everybody can live with. I tell my clients that all the time. We got to get to a place where we both like, oh, I hate this, but I can sign this and I can live with it. Okay. Now, to the athletes, those getting paydays right now, I need y'all to understand this money will not last. And if you are making 6 or 7 figures now, that means that your peak earning potential has moved from the end of your professional career to the beginning of your professional career. And you need to be saving a lot of this money aggressively and thinking long term, because the checks, once they stop, they're stopped. And if you haven't bothered to get a degree and you're going to be driving Amazon, delivering Amazon packages for 15, 20 bucks an hour, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that in life, but it sure is a whole lot less money than 6 or 7 figures for doing some Instagram posts and signing some autographs on some footballs. So anyway, we'll see what happens with this executive order. We'll see if it comes out next week. We'll see how comprehensive it is. We'll see if it has any teeth. We'll see if it gets any traction. We'll see who is going to sue to prevent it from going into effect. Anyway, that is all I have for now. I am not encouraged by this roundtable, but we will see what happens. As always, I want to know what you think.